Hello, boys and girls, and welcome to today's math lesson for the day. Today we are going to be doing lesson 7.11, which is titled AM and PM. And the essential question that we're going to be asking ourselves and answering by the end of this lesson is, how do you use AM and PM to describe times? So just a quick introduction, because I'm not sure what's going on with this video. I think the beginning of it is being a little funky. So I don't know if they're going to introduce this part at all, but AM and PM. So AM you use for times that are in the morning. AM kind of is morning time. And then PM is time anywhere from noon or 12 o'clock to like late at night. So AM is kind of like in the morning, PM is kind of like the afternoon and evening. So if you're like eating lunch or if you are having recess outside, that's probably in PM. And then AM starts at 12 o'clock midnight. So pretty much when hopefully all of you are sleeping is when AM kicks in, and then when you wake up you are in the AM all the way until 12 o'clock in the afternoon. So this video hopefully will describe that a little bit more, and kind of how you're able to tell when you should use AM and when you should use PM when you're telling time. This is going to be our last lesson in Chapter 7, and our last lesson with telling time. So tomorrow is definitely going to be a catch-up day, so you can catch up on any Think Central assignments if you have any that you have to do. And then on Thursday and Friday, I'm actually going to assign a couple other activities that I think will be really fun, but also will be really beneficial to you getting more practice in telling time. So for now, we're just going to dive into this lesson today, and then we'll continue on with our lessons on time later on this week, and then next week we'll start a new lesson. So let's start this video.
Let's talk about different activities done in the morning and evening. Tim's dad hangs wet laundry on the clothesline in the morning. He hangs the laundry out at 7:15 in the morning. Let's see where the hour hand and minute hand is placed on the analog clock. The hour hand is between 7 and 8 to show 7:50. The minute hand points to the 10. 50 minutes have passed since 7 o'clock. Morgan's family went to eat dinner in the evening. The family went to the diner at 7 o'clock in the evening. Show 7 o'clock on the digital clock. No minutes are past the hour. The clock shows 7 o'clock. Place the hour hand to show 7 o'clock. The hour hand points to the 7. Now place the minute hand. The minute hand points to the 12. Both clocks show 7 o'clock. Let's talk about times in AM and PM. Noon is 12 o'clock in the daytime. Midnight is 12 o'clock at night. Lindsay collects eggs at 8 o'clock in the morning. Times after midnight and before noon are written as AM. Sahil's family goes bowling at 8 o'clock in the evening. Times after noon and before midnight are written as PM. Which of these is a time when you're usually sleeping?
Okay, so right now it looks like the digital clock, I'm sorry, not the digital clock, the regular clock, the analog clock is showing 11:30, right? Because the hour hand is in between the 11 and 12, and then we count our minutes: 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, right? So at 11:30 a.m., usually at 11:30 a.m., we are in school. Probably almost close to lunchtime for second grade. So 11:30, we're usually in school at that time, or during the weekends, we're usually up and doing something, almost about ready to have lunch. So that's 11:30 a.m. 11:30 p.m. is really, really late at night. That's almost like a half hour or 30 minutes before midnight. I don't know if any of you have ever stayed up till midnight. You probably have on like New Year's Eve or something like that. But midnight is really late at night. And so is 11:30, because 11:30 is only 30 minutes before that. So if we're sleeping, chances are we're probably sleeping at 11:30 p.m. rather than 11:30 a.m. Sometimes over the weekend you might like take a nap during 11:30 a.m. I know that Mr. Peglo does when he's feeling really tired over the weekend, but generally we are all pretty much sleeping at 11:30 p.m. So we are going to click 11:30 p.m.
That's right. You're usually asleep at 11:30 p.m. Which of these is a time when you're usually at school?
Okay, so like I said, it's the same time showing, right? So 11:30 p.m. we're usually probably sleeping at that time. 11:30 a.m. is probably a time when we are at school. So 11:30 a.m. is the correct answer.
That's right. You're usually at school at 11:30 a.m. Now let's practice with the personal math trainer.
All right. Okay, so the first problem says select the story with the correct times. All right, so Don got to school at 3:30 p.m. His class went to the library in the morning at 8:20 a.m. After school, Don read a book in the afternoon at 10:15 a.m. So this one probably doesn't make too much sense, right? So Don got to school at 3:30 p.m. Well, 3:30 p.m. would be pretty much the end of the day. The end of the school day is 3:30 p.m. So that wouldn't make sense. His class went to the library in the morning at 8:20 a.m. That's definitely possible. But after school, Don read a book in the afternoon at 10:15 a.m. So 10:15 a.m. not the that wouldn't be the afternoon, and it also that wouldn't be a time after school. 10:15 p.m. would be a time after school, but that again would also be a pretty late time. You probably would be sleeping by 10:15 p.m. So A doesn't make too much sense here. So let's look at B. Don got to school at 8:20 a.m. Okay, that's very possible. He could have gotten to school at 8:20. His class went to the library in the morning at 10:15 a.m. That's also definitely possible because 10:15 is after 8:20 when he got to school, but it's still in the morning. That was the most important part. He goes to the library in the morning at 10:15 a.m. 10:15 a.m. would be considered the morning. After school, Don read a book in the afternoon at 3:30 p.m. So that also could work. 3:30 p.m. I mean, maybe he just gets out of school a little bit earlier, so then when he gets home at 3:30, he read a book. So B is definitely an option. Let's look at C and make sure that C isn't a better option. So Don got to school at 10:15 a.m. Okay, possible, but 10:15 a.m. is a little late. He could have maybe gotten to school a little bit late. So we're going to keep reading. His class went to the library in the morning at 3:30 p.m. So remember, p.m. is not morning. PM is usually in the afternoon or in the evening. So he couldn't have gone to the library in the morning at 3:30 p.m. because PM does not mean morning. So that one doesn't work. Okay. After school, Don read a book in the afternoon at 8:20 a.m. Kind of the same thing. Afternoon would be PM. So this one says 8:20 a.m. So that one doesn't make sense either. So the best option that we could pick from is B.
You did it!
Okay, good job. All right, and number 2, select a label for each dot that names something you do at school during that part of the day. Okay, so let's see. So for 8 o'clock a.m., hold on, let's read it. At what times would you say the dots are placed? Okay, so we're going to place a dot. So 8 o'clock a.m., go to art class, do homework. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. So this one is pointing right here. So it's after, this first dot here is after 10 o'clock a.m. Okay, so would you go to art class after 10 o'clock a.m.? Yeah, it's definitely possible. Would you do your homework after 10 a.m.? You would do it after 10 a.m., but you wouldn't do it right here because this spot right here is between 10 o'clock a.m. and noon. So right here, you would still be in school. So you wouldn't do your homework in the middle of the school day, right? So this dot right here, we can say would be go to art class. Okay, now I see another dot that's in between noon and 2 p.m. So again, still probably in school at this time, right? We probably wouldn't get home from school until like right over here on the timeline. So right here, we're still kind of in the middle of the school day. So would you eat breakfast? Well, noon, remember, becomes p.m. So as soon as noon hits, that becomes p.m. We usually eat breakfast in the morning, which is usually represented by a.m. So you probably wouldn't eat breakfast right here. You probably actually have already eaten lunch when it's past noon, right? Could you go to library? Yeah, it's definitely possible. The library schedule could be after lunch, right, for some people. So B is going to be our best option. So now it says, at what times would you say the dots are placed on the timeline? The dots are placed at, well, let's see, this one's between 10 and 12 o'clock. So 10 a.m. and 12 p.m. So we can probably say that this dot right here is probably at 11 o'clock, right? 11 o'clock a.m. It's a little bit after, it's past 10 o'clock a.m., but it's before 12 p.m., right? And then our second dot is in between 12 p.m. and 2 p.m. So we can probably say that this dot right here is showing 1 o'clock p.m. All right, let's check our answer.
Well done!
All right, good job. So remember, p.m., it's a really good point that she made in the video. p.m. is any time between 12 o'clock in the afternoon all the way to midnight. And then a.m. is any time from midnight all the way till noon or 12 o'clock p.m. All right, so usually we change from a.m. to p.m. right at around lunchtime, and then it becomes a.m. at midnight when all of you are hopefully sleeping by that point.
Now try your homework on your own with the personal math trainer. It includes the exercise you saw at the beginning of the lesson.
Okay, so if you feel comfortable enough to go on to Think Central and do the assignment for 7.11, now is the time for you to sign in and you can go do that assignment. If you still need a little bit more practice and you're still not really comfortable with understanding the difference between AM and PM, you can check out the next video where I give you kind of more examples and I kind of walk through some activities with you to help you better understand the difference between the two. So if you feel like you need that little extra practice, definitely check out the video next to this one. But if you feel like you're ready to go on to that 7.11 assignment, you can log into Think Central and do that now. Okay, everybody, great job today, and can't wait to see how hard you do on your math work. Bye, everybody.